Welcome to Dose of Wonder. I'm Caitlin, your guide on this journey through mindfulness, mental health, grief, and personal growth. Each episode will dive into honest explorations and gentle reflections to help you find moments of calm, clarity, and a little bit of wonder too. So grab your favorite cozy spot, take a deep breath, and let's get started. A while ago, I lost my voice. And I don't mean that in a poetic, metaphorical sense. I mean literally. Because I was sick and I lost my voice. Which is ironic, because losing my voice made me realize how little I actually need to use it in everyday life. Think about it. In the last 24 hours, how often have you actually used your physical speaking voice? Not typing, not texting, not sending emails or DMs or Slack messages. I mean actually making sound. For a lot of us, especially if you work remotely or live a fairly digital life, the answer is probably not much. And it's startling when you notice it. We speak with our thumbs now. We communicate through screens. We maintain relationships through glowing rectangles in our hands. And it's entirely possible to go days without really speaking to anyone at all. And yet, as a species, we are wired for connection, deeply wired for it. Not just information exchange, but connection. Sharing emotions, being seen, being known, feeling like we belong. So that got me thinking. If we don't use our voices much anymore, what does that mean for connection? And what does it mean for a different kind of voice altogether? Because when I talk about voice here, I'm not just talking about sound. I'm talking about the voice of who you actually are. Authenticity. Yes, I know, it's a big buzzword that's everywhere. Be your authentic self. Live authentically. You can find those phrases plastered across self-care memes, mugs, journals, Instagram captions. But what does that actually mean? To me, it means being unapologetically who you are. Not the version of you that exists for your parents, or the version of you at work or with friends. Not the polished, edited, socially acceptable version you put online. Just you. The real you. And here's the thing we don't like to admit. Most of us are walking around wearing masks. We have different versions of ourselves for different audiences. We perform, we adapt, we shape-shift a little, depending on who's in front of us. And some of that is normal. You don't talk to your boss the same way you talk to your best friend. But the problem is when those adaptations become so habitual that the mask starts to feel like your face. When you stop checking in with who you actually are and start defaulting to who you think you should be, that's when we lose our voice. Not physically, but internally. Because here's the paradox of modern life. We have less practical need to speak than ever before, but we have never needed genuine connection more. And hiding behind screens makes it easier to hide other things too. Our discomfort, our boundaries, our needs, our opinions, our truth. If you're not careful, you can go a long time without really expressing yourself at all. So how do we get back to ourselves? I think it starts with using your voice. Saying what you actually mean instead of what feels safest. Saying no when you normally say yes. Speaking up when it would be easier to stay quiet. And yes, it's scary. Conformity is comfortable. It guarantees acceptance. And authenticity risks disapproval. Vulnerability always does. One of the most common masks we wear is the people pleaser. And I say that as someone who has worn it very well in the past. The people-pleasing version of yourself feels polite, kind, easygoing. But underneath it, you're often sacrificing your own energy, time, or values just to avoid friction. It feels nice, but it slowly erodes you. Here's a simple, very real example. Say you're an introvert. You know you need alone time to recharge. Not just as a preference, but as a necessity. Your battery is low, but a friend invites you out for a late dinner, and it's a high-energy, really social thing. Your instinct might be to say yes anyway, or to invent an excuse like, I'm busy, I already have plans. Something vague and socially acceptable. But that's still a performance. Authenticity sounds more like this. I don't have the battery power to socialize right now. No elaborate story, no apology, no justification, just truth. That sentence alone can feel terrifying if you're used to managing how others perceive you, but it's also incredibly grounding. It aligns your external voice with your internal reality. And that's the key. Authenticity isn't just about knowing who you are, it's about acting like it. When we consistently live for other people's comfort and expectations, something really troubling happens. We forget who we are, not at once, but slowly, over time. The only identity we actively practice is the one we perform, and the real self gets quieter and quieter underneath all those layers. That's when life starts to feel strangely isolating. You might be surrounded by people, you might even be loved, but you're loved for a character, not for you. Being known matters. Being seen matters. Being real matters. And that's the part I really want you to hear. You matter. Your needs matter, your limits matter, your voice matters. Whether you're struggling, succeeding, or somewhere in the middle, you matter. Your worth is not conditional on how agreeable you are, how productive you are, or how well you perform. So here's a gentle challenge. This week, notice one place where you're wearing a mask. Just one. Maybe it's the people pleaser. Maybe it's the silent version of you in meetings. Maybe it's the always fine version. And try just once to speak from the real place underneath. One sentence. One honest moment. What would that sound like if you were unapologetically you? And maybe more importantly, what would it feel like to be truly known, even for a moment? That's your voice, and it's worth using. And that's it for this week's podcast. Thanks for listening. Next week I'll be getting back into personal growth with an episode on the benefits of slowing down. But until next time, don't forget to live with a dose of wonder.
In the stillness we begin, with stories stitched in softer skin. A spark, a sigh, a breath, a bend, a dose of wonder, like a